We've spent endless time talking about the implications of the presidential election, whether Donald Trump or Kamala Harris is better for crypto and what will happen if either of them wins. I have long made the argument that that is misdirection and that the election and the race that really matters is the one for senator in Massachusetts. Elizabeth Warren has long been the head of the snake in the anti-crypto army. She says it literally herself. And we have one of our own running against her and have the opportunity to unseat the senator that is controlling crypto policy in the United States of America. Luckily, I have him here with me once again today, John Deaton. We're going to talk about the eviscerating that he did of Elizabeth Warren in the debate 2 nights ago and the next debate, which is coming tonight that you don't want to miss. Guys, you have to tune in for this. You have to donate to John. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It's not many days that I get fired up for a YouTube show at 9 o'clock in the morning, but anytime I get the opportunity to talk to John, it matters. And you have to get fired up and you have to be passionate because this is maybe one of our only and biggest chances to do what's right for our industry in the United States of America. I'm going to go ahead and bring John on right now. Dude, you killed her in the street. It was a public murder. I've never seen anything like it. As I said to you before, I might be biased. I might be.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit, but I like to look at things through a somewhat objective lens, and you just destroyed her.
I mean, listen, Senator Warren is obviously a talented, brilliant woman, and she's been doing this, ran for president and all those things. But when you have truth and justice on your side, it's hard to fail. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, truth and justice seem to be less compelling motivations for voters in this country in 2024 than they were when we were kids. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, we saw that. We saw that at the first debate. I mean, at the end of the day, Senator Warren's argument was she's a Democrat. Vote for her. John Deaton's a Republican. And listen, it's a message that obviously in this divided world has been working. I think, Scott, we got to get back to voting for who the best candidate is in an election. And not be so labeled and wrapped around, Republican means this, Democrat means this. And here's the thing, Senator Warren, we know how she's going to vote on anything, everything. Her vote is taken for granted. I'm truly an independent thinker. And, there's going to be issues like the abortion issue where I'll be caucusing with Democrats, I'm sure, if something arises. And then when we're talking about, regulations and fiscal responsibility, I would caucus with the Republicans in my party. So, but that was her argument. At the end of the day, she's a Democrat. Vote for her.
But not only that, so that was her argument for voting for her, but her argument for voting against you literally was he's lying and he's not going to do what he says. He's lying. He's not going to do what he says. She said, listen, I have 3 daughters. I'm pro-choice. I would never want them, the government to interfere with what my daughters can do with their bodies. And she went on this tirade that said, yeah, but then he's going to get in there like every other Republican and he's just going to become pro-life. So vote for me. Her entire argument again, I told you before, I was joking. I was like, make fun of his head or his beard, or you don't like his tie. Tell me something that you don't like about what he's actually saying or doing, not about some future projection of what he could theoretically do that has no basis in reality.
Yeah, I want everyone to think about that for a minute. How tragically sad is it that Senator Warren actually believes? Listen, I held a I challenged her to debate me for 1 hour, a third debate just on women's reproductive rights, other women's rights that I referenced, the whole gamut, and she wouldn't do it. And she actually is going to take the position in this sad, political, tragic world that she lives in, that I'm going to have a press conference. I said, if it came down to it, like if it was the last straw, I would switch parties if it meant an abortion ban. I pissed off tons of Republicans. Some of them want to throw me out of the Republican Party. Then I get on stage and I look to the world and say, I'm pro-choice. I would never, I'm a freedom maximalist. I believe in the freedom of choice, right? And that doesn't mean I believe in late-term abortions and all that stuff. I'm just talking about a woman's fundamental choice during a certain period of time. And I said I would never betray my daughters. Senator Warren lives in a world where I'm lying, I'm pretending, and that I would go into the Senate and dishonor my word, my life, that I would betray my daughters. That is a sad, tragic world to live in. And that's why we need term limits, man, because they get in there and they just go whack-a-doo with that stuff.
Yeah, man, term limits for sure. This I have to just play this really quick because this just made me laugh. I don't even know if this is really if you really added this to the end or somebody else did, but I was dying when I saw this.
Look, people of Massachusetts know me. If John Deaton has a chance to go to Washington, he's going to be there to fight for crypto.
I'm John Deaton, and I approve this message.
I mean,
I didn't do that.
I know I didn't think so. I thought it was just a meme, but when I saw the ending of that, I was just dying because it just blows my mind that what one person can say is like the biggest negative against you is the thing that you wear as a badge of honor on your sleeve.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's why I made the point, and everyone's got to think about this. Look at what we're facing, just real quick. We have illegal immigration. It's bankrupting Massachusetts because we have a right to shelter law, and it doesn't require residency. So any migrant that comes that's homeless goes into a hotel, gets fed, goes to school, all of that. It's bankrupting the state. You have a debt crisis. You know that better than anyone. We're falling off a cliff. We're paying $3 billion in interest a day. We have an opioid crisis, losing Americans. We have foreign wars striking up everywhere. The world's going into chaos, and people are being priced out of the economy with inflation. But Senator Warren, the senior senator from Massachusetts, woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm going to run for re-election, and I'm going to build an anti-crypto army. With all those real world problems, why is she so focused on crypto? So I've been calling her the crypto candidate. Yes. Do I have my money invested in Bitcoin and crypto? Sure. But she thinks it's a bad investment. Fine. Don't tell the rest of us that we can't, and don't attack an industry. But I just don't understand why she's so focused. I would never understand it. And I remember, Scott, I was scratching my head. This is before I got in the election, was like, why would she be doing this with all those real world problems? And then she went on Chuck Todd and said, America's ready for a central bank digital currency. And then I go, she wants to control everything. I get it now. So,
yeah. So, but okay. So first of all, you didn't know what the questions would be in advance of the debate, correct?
No, I'm no Gary Gensler. Okay. Yeah. I didn't have that opportunity.
She might have, guys, that's probably not true. I have no idea. But so you had no idea that they were literally going to ask her about the anti-crypto army. I almost spit my drink when they said those words.
I was very surprised that John Keller, the moderator, literally quoted, anti-crypto army, and which that's why I explained my journey into Bitcoin with my mom and the fees and Western Union fees and all that stuff. But that's why I turned the focus onto her. And, listen, that anti-crypto army is her and Gary Gensler now, because Vice President Harris is now putting out, whether it's sincere or true, it's election year. We all need to take that into consideration on both sides, right? They're trying to get votes, but certainly Vice President Harris has repudiated Elizabeth Warren at this point in time. She's repudiated her anti-crypto army. She wants a reset. And so Elizabeth Warren is out there on an island with her and Gary Gensler with one paddle left. You know what I mean?
But what struck me about the question is you obviously gave the answer that you just described. We've heard you obviously give the crypto speech, which is genuine and just a part of who you are many times. But she played it off like it wasn't even real. This is what she said. I'm going to paraphrase. I don't have the quote, but she basically said, I think that everybody should be able to trade crypto however they want. Buy and sell anything you want. It's fine. I just want to make sure you have the same rules as everyone else. When she sat on the floor of the Senate with Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan and asked him canned and prepared questions with canned and prepared answers, where he said, if I was the government, I would ban it. And she said, yeah, right. Exactly.
That's right.
She's complete. Dude, I'm sorry. I know you're a politician. She's completely fucking full of shit. And it makes my head just want to explode. She sat there and said, I support crypto. It's fine. Buy and sell it. Whatever. I just want the same rules, and then can go and openly say this stuff should be banned and never touched by anyone in the United States. How do we let them lie so much?
Well, listen, you know, Senator Warren, and I'll say this on the debate stage, you know, respectfully, of course, and civilly, but she lacks a commitment to the truth, and that is a fact. You just said it. She got up there after literally proposing a ban. I call it the bankers ban on Bitcoin bill, right? Because you and I can't have self-custody under it, but you know, BNY Mellon can, or any other
they get
bank.
the exception, but crypto companies can't get that exception.
Right.
But BNY
Well,
Mellon
I
can.
want it. Listen, you know, you got to understand, and I know there's people in this industry that are like, I wish John would have said this or that. Crypto is not a big issue in our election in Massachusetts, right? To me, it's more about a freedom thing. It's the immigration, it's the inflation. Massachusetts is the second most expensive state to live in now. And so, I mean, people are really, really suffering. And so if you were to ask them the top 10 issues, crypto wouldn't be in there. That's why I said, why is she so focused on it? But yeah, she got up and act like, oh, I don't care if people dabble or trade in crypto. Well, tell that to Silvergate Bank. Tell that to, you know, all of the other, Signature and all of the other ones. And you have absolutely tried to attack this industry. And, you know, she's going to continue with the oh, what do the crypto people want from Deaton? Because, you know, people donated to a super PAC or whatever, or a guy like you in the industry will get me on and support me like you have, which I appreciate immensely. And
we were doing this before you were even running.
Of course, we're just being Scott and John anyways, right? But I'll answer that question. If she keeps posing it, I'll answer that question. I won't give it now. I'll save it, right? But I'll give that answer to her if she keeps asking it.
Yeah, I
notice,
don't know.
Notice she doesn't answer any of my questions.
Ever.
Right?
Like none of it. It really blew my mind. I have to ask you, actually, outside of the debate and the election, obviously, as you stated there and everybody knows, you were a huge driving factor in the XRP decision. You obviously took that case on pro bono, won a number of awards for it. I played the clips yesterday, so I'm not going to be redundant.
Yep.
The SEC is appealing. Were you surprised? I mean, completely separate here, but I haven't gotten a chance to ask you about it. I remember Meta Lawman being like, they're going to appeal, and everyone else saying, no way, these guys are going to appeal. They've lost. But what do you make of the appeal now and the chance that it actually they win? Yeah, well, first, if there's a dispute, I'm going to go side with Meta Lawman and those kind of things. He's a pretty smart dude. And he's a friend and love him to death. But listen, it's just no more nonsense, right? And here's the thing that voters need to know. Judge Torres didn't apply the other factors, right? She just said, look, you didn't prove the third factor, which is rely on the efforts of others because of the affidavits we submitted and all that stuff. So she didn't answer the common enterprise question or anything. So even if the SEC were to take it up, and I don't think they will, but let's say they won, all that would happen is it would go back to Judge Torres, and she would then apply the common enterprise factor. And I thought that was the weakest factor that the SEC had. And then she would rule again, in my opinion, that XRP is not a security, and that the XRP holders who were acquiring it on exchanges wasn't a security. So it's a colossal waste of money, of taxpayer money, because it's such a fact-specific decision. But for whatever reason, Gary Gensler, the SEC, probably Jorge Tenrero, who is like the chief prosecutor of this stuff, they just can't let stuff go. They can't take an L. Take the L and move on. You're supposed to be wearing the white hat, right? You represent the United States of America. Like, that should mean something to you. You don't have to win everything. You want to protect regular people. Well, regular people don't want your protection, all right? The way you're doing it. So honor your mission of protecting investors. And so they need to clean house, as far as I'm concerned, at the SEC, because I think some of these lawyers are literally unethical. Didn't their head of enforcement leave? Like, I'm sure it was coincidence, but within 24 hours of that Ripple appeal coming out?
Yeah, and that's a guy that in Congress under oath, misled. I mean, so good riddance to him.
Yeah.
He was part of the problem. But listen, we all know that the real problem is Gary Gensler and my opponent, Senator Warren, and they're on that island. But when the vice president of the United States running for president repudiates her, when Donald Trump running for president says he's going to embrace the technology, it's here to stay. And what everybody should look at the debate the other night, Senator Warren was defeated, right? When I say defeated, I don't mean oh, I don't care what you said, Scott. I don't care if people trade crypto. That is a complete 180. Now, it doesn't mean she's not going to be behind the scenes still trying to hurt crypto and hurt freedom and push for her central bank digital currency or whatever. But clearly, she's losing the war on crypto.
Yeah, and maybe she's just going to capitulate and pretend it never happened. Do you think that in this
that's what they do. That's what they do, right? They like ignore it. I mean,
I'm against the banks, but all my money comes from the banks.
Well, I mean, maybe tonight she'll talk about another vote she did 10 years ago and avoid what's going on today, right? Remember, she's like, I voted for immigration reform 10 years ago. Who cares? And it didn't even go through. Like, what's going on about today? We need a senator today in Massachusetts.
Is there a chance that Harris wins, but Gensler is pretty much immediately ousted, even under a Democrat president?
Well, listen, I know that Mark Cuban is, kind of divisive with people in crypto because of the Trump versus Harris stuff. But listen, according to Mark, and I haven't had personal conversations with him. I mean, we've DM'd about other stuff, but he says that she wants a reset, and if she wins, and he certainly is someone, whether you like him or not, agree with him or not, is pro the industry. So you would imagine he said Gensler needs to go. Anthony Scaramucci is helping her. He says Gensler has to go. So when you have some of the biggest leaders who are supporting you, telling you this guy is a problem, and you're saying you want to do a reset, the writing should be on the wall that he's going to be gone at some point soon.
You know what I love, though, is that these guys who, I guess Cuban's a Democrat. Scaramucci certainly is not a lifelong Democrat, I think, as we know. They support Harris, but they still support you.
Listen, I have the thing that I'm really proud about is I have devout Trump supporters supporting me. Listen, some of my best friends are voting for Donald Trump. Some of my best friends are voting for Vice President Harris. We live in a divided world, man. But I have both sides saying, hey, I'm voting for Trump and Deaton, or I'm voting for Harris and Deaton. And I like that. I think that puts me on the right side of history.
She's obviously painted you from the first moment that she ran as a MAGA Republican, which was it's just hilarious. But that said, I know that's Massachusetts, so it's a bit of a vacuum. But if you take a look, even on Polymarket now, Trump's odds of winning here at 62%. Does 62% Harris at 38? This has gone up like 10% in 3 days or something, given this is a betting market. It's not necessarily polling. But how much does it affect your election in Massachusetts for senator, like how the tides are turning in the presidential election? I have a friend I've told you about who obviously he's a politician in Tampa, Hillsborough County. And he often says to me, he's like, literally, it's like whoever wins president is probably going to swing whether this county goes Democrat or Republican in my small election.
Yeah, not in Massachusetts. Listen, I think that President Trump has more support than people think in Massachusetts, but he lost Massachusetts by 33 points. So even if he did twice as well that he did 4 years ago, he would still lose by 16 points. And so a lot depends on turnout, and it works both ways. If a lot of Democrats, if they're blinded by the D and the R, and this is what people need to know. I've never been delusional, right? I've never pretended that this is, not an uphill battle. And I know people are citing the poll that shows me, down 20 points. Well, if all the voters know, I want you to know this, we did polling. If all the voters see is Democrat, Warren, Cambridge, right, Deaton, Republican, then yes, I lose by 20 points. But we did polling that if they only learn I was in the Marine Corps and I'm pro-choice, it's a single digit race immediately. When they learn more about me and they see, wow, I'm like Charlie Baker, centrist, common sense, perspective, pro-choice, all those things, then it's really tight and competitive. And so for me, it comes down to getting enough name recognition out there. And so hopefully after tonight's debate, we'll see some polling that shows that the race has gotten much tighter. Right.
Dave Weisberg and I were joking about this. We're a bit older, so you probably remember the movie The Distinguished Gentleman. Do you remember that movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Where the guy Jeff Johnson, the congressman in Florida, dies, and Eddie Murphy's name is Thomas Jefferson Johnson, and he just runs as Jeff Johnson, the name you know. The presumption being that people just vote for the same person they've always voted for without even thinking. They just look at the ballot and they go, "Oh yeah, I know that person's name," and they vote. How do you fight that phenomenon? Because she's been around so long. You got to figure a lot of people are just going to look and be like, maybe I don't know John Deaton. I know her name. Check.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Like I'll tell you this way: one, you're right, but two, she remember she ran for president. She came in third in Massachusetts. Bernie beat her, Biden beat her in her own state. So it's not like she's the most popular person. But I'll give you an example. When they were collecting my signatures to get on the ballot, you need 10,000 certified, which means you need literally like 15,000. People going to the supermarket and they would say, "Hey, John Deaton, former Marine, is running for Senate. Will you sign his ballot?" They keep walking because they don't know who John Deaton is, right? I've been a lawyer here, but they don't know me. And then they go, "He's running against Elizabeth Warren." Stop, turn around. All right, I'll sign his ballot. You know what I mean?
Everybody, it seems like nobody loves her.
No,
I'm sure there are people. I'm sure there's some there's a Lazy Acres retirement home somewhere where they're all huge Elizabeth Warren fans. But like you said,
I mean, listen, when I'm out on the parades and stuff like that, you run into here and there, but most of it is not so much about her, is that they view a Republican as an extremist, right? Like as someone who's pro-life all the way, someone who is, a climate denier, someone who is all those things. And so, but if I'm able to get the word out, I have lifelong Democrats that are voting for me, once they learn that when it comes to social issues, I'm moderate. I mean, the Globe said he's downright liberal when it comes to social issues, because, for example, when Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden and Barack Obama, they didn't support gay marriage. They supported civil unions. I was like, we live in America or not, man? Like, freedom is freedom. Like, marry who you want, love who you want. That was sort of my attitude. And so they were like, because of that, they're like, on social issue, this guy's, liberal. But I'm someone who says, that 35 trillion debt that we're walking off a cliff of, we really have to pay attention to that. The fact that we've printed 80% of all US dollars in the last 4 years, I mean, we might want to pay attention to that. Just maybe. And so we'll see. But Elizabeth Warren, she's never seen a spending bill that she doesn't like to support. And hopefully tonight we get into the wealth gap, because I really want to talk about that. As you know, someone who grew up so poor, we really do have a society of the haves and have-nots. But Senator Warren's policies actually hurt poor people and middle-class people. And I really want to prove that tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, and that speaks right directly to the crypto debate. I mean, I know we've only got a couple minutes left here. So in general, what would you say are the biggest issues in your state that need to be addressed that you are addressing and maybe she is not?
Yeah, it's absolutely immigration and inflation, and that's it. I mean, there's other issues, obviously, but listen, average price of a home in Greater Boston, $980,000. That's your median, right? Statewide, it's $650,000. That's $200,000 more than the national average. Housing market in Boston, we've got none. Where we beat out San Francisco and San Diego and LA for rent now. We're number 2 behind Hawaii. And so people are working 50 hours a week and they can't make ends meet. So inflation, and then immigration, listen, it's literally bankrupting the state. I just learned that, believe it or not, I just learned that in Taunton, they had an $8 million contract for Uber rides for the migrants, for Uber and Lyft. I mean, it's insanity. In the meantime, I know some of you don't understand my references when I talk about Neshoba or Kearney Hospital, but we lost 2 hospitals in Massachusetts, and the governor and others couldn't save it. Right. Which would have, they couldn't save it, but they've spent $1 billion feeding, housing, and driving migrants.
But why? But why?
Well, we have that right to shelter law that was passed in the 80s, and it doesn't require residency. And listen, Scott, I mean, it's a noble thought, right? If one of your citizens
taking care of people less fortunate is a noble thought.
Right. And think about this. If you had a family and let's say the husband was the breadwinner and he gets killed in an accident, and now you got a mom and she's homeless and she needs help, of course we should help that person. But that doesn't mean that they expected an open border where just literally millions of people would come in. And now in Massachusetts, we got to feed them and we got to house them. And then there's the education issue. You got a right to educate law. It really is bankrupting Massachusetts, and people are leaving. So that and the cost of living really it's the entire election, man.
I just want to play one more clip before I let
Sure.
you go, because this is the one that when I watched it, I was like, oh, they didn't. He didn't know what questions were coming, and he's not. These are not prepared answers, because I was on the floor on this one.
Lives in this hyper thing. Senator Warren lives in this hyper partisan political world where she's defined by party. You notice it's Democrats are great, Republicans are bad. I got news for you, Senator. All of you suck in Congress, all of you. It's a broken system. I'm disrupting that system. Senator Warren worries about control. When she was asked, what's wrong with John Deaton's policies? You know what she said? Oh, the crypto people like him. Then the person said, well, wait a minute, is that it? And she goes, no, we want to not lose control of the Senate. This is the point.
I mean, yeah, you were like, hey, I'm just going to tell her she sucks. Like,
well,
72 hours in advance.
I can honestly tell you that that's not planned. At that moment, and I'm sure some people would be criticizing it, but at that moment, I was just being an American, right? Think about this industry that you're in with crypto. We're applying 1930s law in a case from 46 to modern day artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, automation, robotics. It's insane because Congress won't do their job. So in that moment, I wasn't really a candidate for U.S. Senate. I was like a citizen saying, my God, quit pointing the finger, because if you are, then point it to all of you. You know what I mean? That's really what that was about.
Well, I think it's nice to see you actually get fired up in real time. And, you don't see that very much anymore. You see these canned responses to questions that have been prepared before, and, the sort of misdirection of talking points. So what do you think about Ukraine? Well, the problem we have is at the southern border. I mean, it's not what I asked you about. You know what I mean? And we see that all the time, I think, in politics. So quickly, the debate tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The last one was at 8:30, so this one's earlier, right?
Yes.
This is on your personal account.
Yeah, you can go to my personal account. C-SPAN is covering it, GBH, and local streaming, so everyone will be able to watch it. And yeah, listen, I'm just going to be me. Go up there, and whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? But I'm looking forward to it.
But more importantly, guys, you can't win without money. It is so. That's like you're not a politician in the classical sense, but there's a certain game that everybody has to play, no matter who they are in politics. I've seen it with my friends as well. You got to donate.
Scott, I appreciate that because I guarantee you that I have a text message from my team saying, why didn't you plug the site more? I suck at certain things about being a candidate, man. Like, this is what so I really appreciate you doing that, because if you didn't do that, I guarantee you I'd have got a call. It's like, dude, why wouldn't you plug the website? You're
still going to get the call because I did it, but it's
right. No, you did it, and I didn't do it like 5 or 10 times during the thing. But listen, I appreciate it, man. And yes, if you could go out there, even if it's $10, it helps, because if I can get the word out, get on TV with a commercial that I just cut, we can make this race competitive. You know what I mean? And listen, it's an uphill battle. There's a narrow uphill path to victory. I think I'm on it. We're going to find out soon.
Yeah, so it's johndeatonforsenate.com. If you guys can't
You're
see
even
that
better
above.
at it.
No, so I'm gonna be real. My wife's biggest criticism, maybe, of me our entire life, which is like, Scott, like, you're the worst self-promoter in history.
Yeah.
When I was a DJ, everything, she'd be like, people ask you what you do, you'll be like, oh, I just like DJ sometimes, or like, what do you do now? I'm like, I kind of do a podcast. She's like, you're so much more, like, talk about it. I'm like, nah, I just can't. She's like,
Yeah.
and I get it, and so I think stepping into politics where your job is to sit on the phone all day and ask people for money must be a very uncomfortable position. And that's
It's awful. It's the single worst part of the job. Meeting people is great, but calling people, ask for money. And if you learn my life story, it's really not a strength, as you can see here. But listen, I think it proves, whether it's you or me, that whatever we're doing it for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. And so that's the way I look at it.
So, guys, donate, watch the debate tonight. John's got more important things to do, and I've taken 3 extra minutes of his time, man. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you.
I appreciate you and your audience. All right. Tune in tonight. It's going to be fun.
Good luck tonight, man. Go prep. Get ready
Thank
to tell
you.
her she sucks again. All right. All right, guys. That's obviously all we've got from John. Just, personally, as you know, if you've been watching this show for a long time, John and I met because of crypto. It was long before he was even considering a run, and I remember our DMs where he said, I might have a big announcement coming soon. I was like, you, my friend, are out of your mind, but I love it. To run against Elizabeth Warren, of all people. And I've said this many times. I said it at the fundraiser we did for him in Austin. This is a rare, I think, opportunity where not only do you get to do what Americans do, which is vote against someone you hate, because we know that almost nobody votes for someone they like anymore, right? Everybody's skeptical of politicians. They say, I don't really like her, but I'm voting against him, or the opposite, right? You get the opportunity to vote against someone that you legitimately dislike and who has objectively been horrid for the industry that we love, for the asset class, for we love, for our thing, so to speak. But on the flip side, you also get to actually, for once in your life, vote for or support through a donation, but vote for or support someone who you genuinely like, who has genuinely supported our industry. He's a likable person, but who has supported our industry for free. I mean, the guy did it completely pro bono. And I see over here in the comments, we've got the Mickle Mafia, I guess. A lot of people being sent over by Mickle, and people who are usually here saying, who's Mickle? Mickle's awesome. He comes on spaces with me all the time, and I deeply appreciate that he's sending people here. And I can tell you, part of the stream the other night, I was actually watching from his X account. He was live streaming it. And so when I got up from the TV, I was watching it on his account. He's great. And there's a lot of us. I met him actually in person at that fundraiser for the first time. There's a lot of people that you would deeply respect or like in this industry who are exceptionally beyond passionate for supporting John for all of the reasons above, not just because she needs to lose or because he's pro crypto, just because the guy should literally be in Washington representing us because he's one of the good guys. And I have countless clips here that we could play from the debate, but you saw it. I've just encouraged you guys really to watch the debate tonight. I think that it's going to be yet another absolute ass beating, and I'm here for it. That's all I got. I mean, Dan's not here from Chart Guys. He still, I think, is having internet problems from Helene. We could talk about markets and we could talk about the news, but I just want to leave it on a good note because John is such a legend, and I'm just really, really hoping that he can catch up and win, and that all of you will support him in any way you can. Guys, thank you so much. Go to his website, make a donation, watch the debate tonight. See you soon. And Mickle, thanks to you and your army for showing up for the stream. Really appreciate it. All right, guys. Talk to you tomorrow for the Friday 5. Later.
Let's go.